me tell you a secret. Nobody has it figured out, and honestly, nobody really knows what is going on. In this video, I'm going to go over my last 7 years in IT, and I'm going to explain each job role that I held, where it was, and exactly what I did during those job roles, and kind of mindset behind each one of them. And hopefully you can get some value from my story, and stay to the end of the video and I'll go over some common pitfalls that happened and what I would do different if I could start over today. Like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps the YouTube algorithm. Let's get into it. I guess I'll just start at the beginning of my journey. My journey started in 2009 when I graduated high school and I went to Texas State University. And there I just left high school. I went to college to get away from my parents' house. I think that's what a lot of teenagers do. And I really had no direction and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I changed my major like 5 or 6 times. I don't know how I still graduated in 4 years, to be honest, but I did. So from 2009 to 2013, I was just getting my bachelor's degree, and I ended up majoring in geographic information science, which was a lot of fun. I learned about remote sensing and cartography and map making, which I absolutely loved. I thought it was great. And college was a lot. And I learned a lot in college, and I learned how to communicate with people and everything of that sort. So college was a good experience for me. And I graduated in 2013. I had no life skills, really. I just had this degree, but I didn't know how to interview, and I didn't know how to properly communicate with people. I didn't really know what a job was, to be honest. Like, I don't know, what do you do with a job, really? I didn't know how to set up my resume. I didn't know how to display my work experience. I didn't know how to do any of this. And I didn't know which options were available to me when I graduated in 2013 with my bachelor's degree. You know what will help with this? I'm going to join the United States Army. And that's exactly what I did. I thought it would be an adventure, and I thought I would learn a lot, and it would also give me time to help me figure out what I wanted to do. And I literally left to Army basic training 10 days after I graduated college. So just imagine that stark difference between being in college and kind of a hippie to being in the United States military, just being yelled at. Man, that was insane. That was some growth. Was a 25 Bravo, so I was for those of you who weren't in the military, I was a information technology specialist, and this is where I set up switches, routers, satellites. I was a help desk. I did basically everything. And I was also in a tactical environment. So I set up switches and stacks and satellites and phones in the middle of basically nowhere, in a field somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I don't even really know where I was. So that is what I did there. And this was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot of lessons while in the Army. Lessons that went beyond just technical skills, things like integrity and honesty, and kind of being whole with yourself. If you say you're going to do it, then you do it. And these are extremely valuable skills. It also trained me how to do things that I don't want to do, like waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and going running. So it really built discipline. I mean, I don't run anymore. I mean, I hate running, so I definitely still don't do it. But I was in the Army from August of 2013 to May of 2016, and where I was discharged from medical reasons. And it really teaches you how to work in a team, and that's really something I was not good at. And that was probably the biggest skill that I gained from the United States military. And they also set you up with a lot of benefits, such as the GI Bill and medical care, and then you get a $0 home loan. So it also sets you up for those 4 years. If you're interested in that, you can just send me a message and I can help you. And I can kind of give you more insight into it. And so the Army was good. I'm glad that I did it. So I got out of the Army in May of 2016. And then in July of 2016, I got a job as a simulation technician in Tacoma, Washington. And this is where I was setting up Army simulation games, the networking portion, and also the end user portion, utilizing Linux. So there I learned a lot about networking, Linux, security reasons, and also field artillery, army simulation games, and how all of that plays together. So that was a really good job. I also worked with customers a lot and explained to them kind of issues that were going on or what they needed to do to prepare for these army simulation games, and if they needed to do anything. It was a really good learning experience. At that time I was around 25, 26, and I really just wanted to travel. So in October of 2018, I actually got a job to go to Ankara, Turkey for a local area network administrator position, and I definitely went, and that was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life because I also worked with foreign nationals, Turkish foreign nationals, and I got to see Turkey, which is an absolutely beautiful country, and I suggest that you visit, and I gained a lot of good work experience there also. So I learned about networking switches. I had to come in when the internet kind of dropped. Network administrator in Turkey, and it was a really good cultural experience because I learned about how economies work. I think their dollar failed during that time, so I learned about economy, and I learned about various cultures, and I also learned about technology in not only America but also Turkey and how that operates. So after my 1 year was up in October of 2019, then I go back to the Seattle, Washington area, and I get a job as a system administrator. And here I troubleshot, I configured, and I monitored SQL servers, and I also hardened SQL servers. And I worked with Active Directory. I got cross-trained on some things, so I worked with VoIPs and setting up VoIP phones and infrastructure for that. I worked with group policy, and I just kept on asking people to train me on things, and so I learned a lot about different technologies. I also worked with some VMware. Really good experience, and it was at an enterprise level, so I got a much broader view of how all of IT infrastructure works together. And it was a good job. But like all jobs, you kind of reach a point where you're no longer learning and you kind of get bored. And so that's what happened. So I was like, well, I'm gonna leave now. Although I did like that job, sometimes you just have to leave and to get more experience in what you want to do. And I wanted to go more of the cybersecurity route. And so I was just really on to just cybersecurity. And this is actually when I decided to roll into WGU. And I also got a job as a network security engineer in Columbus, Ohio for a company that has a worldwide network, which I won't disclose, but their network spans across the entire world, and I would be working on this network, and I just couldn't say no, as this was a huge jump. I didn't really have any training on this specifically, so I was like, sure, I'll move to Columbus, Ohio, and this was of June of 2020, so in the middle of the pandemic, and I was like, all right, I'm going. And little did I know that I would be the first person on this contract, and so I was essentially the person setting up the entire project and training everybody on the project. My boss didn't know, my coworkers didn't know what was going on. It was just kind of me figuring it out and then training everybody on it. And that was an absolutely amazing experience as I used agile methodologies and Kanban boards and different productivity kind of things to set up this entire project. And it was a ton of fun. It was really uncomfortable at times because I didn't really know what I was doing really. But I figured it out, and it was so worth it, and it was just really worth it. And what I did at this job is I was remediating vulnerabilities per company's policy. So the company would push out these best practices, and I would remediate these vulnerabilities on a worldwide network, and you can cause a lot of damage when you do this, so you have to be extremely careful. You have to research really well, you have to do your due diligence, and you have to make sure change management is implemented. And it was extremely difficult, but now that I look back on it, it was very rewarding because I learned so much. And I did that from June of 2020 to February 2021, and now I promoted 3 weeks ago. Now I'm a lead network security engineer, where I'm doing web application firewall stuff and creating attack signatures and monitoring traffic. Working with OWASP Top 10 and digging deep into issues that that can occur in web applications. And this is probably my favorite job that I have ever had. So I might stay here a while, meaning a year or two, and really learn all that I can and soak up all of the knowledge I can because I absolutely love it. And also during this time, I forgot to mention, I got my degree when I started at this job. So I started WGU in July of 2020 and I graduated in January of 2021. So it took me about 6 months, and I got my master's degree in cybersecurity during the same time while setting up this project, and I learned so much. That's it. So some pitfalls that I came along with staying at a job too long where I wasn't growing or learning, and kind of just sitting and stagnating. And when you stagnate, you actually decline. There is no stagnation. You're either going up or you're going down. So I wish I had jumped sooner at certain jobs than I did. Another common pitfall was studying for the wrong things. So you really want to get a good ROI, not just on your money, but also your time. So you want to look at what employers want for certain certificates and then go for those. For instance, I spent way too much time studying for A+ when I could be studying for CCNA, and it's not that much different in terms of difficulty really. It's just you're studying something different. Or I could have been studying for CISSP, but instead I was studying for the MCSA, which doesn't even exist anymore. So spending time on the wrong things was a huge pitfall for me, as I didn't accurately assess whether or not it was even worth doing. And most of the time it wasn't. Just because you can get it doesn't mean you should get it. So that was a really big pitfall. And if I could start over right now, I would definitely just start in the cloud, as that's where everything is going, is the cloud. And I would get really involved in security because that's the fastest growing job and everything is going to be about cybersecurity. I give it, I don't know, 5 years, and there'll be tons. There's already a lot of jobs, but they're only going to get more and more as data breaches become more and more. And that would be what I would do differently. But again, 7 years ago, the cloud and cybersecurity weren't really a thing. But if I was starting over right now, that's exactly what I would do. And I think the military, in the Army, there's a 25 Delta, if you're interested in looking in that. And that is security related. And if you have any questions or concerns, please leave them below. Also like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.